Good morning, traders. Today is Monday, October 10th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. The title of today's episode, Is It Really Bearish? Question mark. Is it? All right, let's explore why. Well, first and foremost, when I open up the chart this morning, and I zoom out a little bit and I look at what's happening with the market, to me, this kind of has a feeling like we may just be in a very large balancing area. What does that basically mean? It means we might be in a range where the market is just kind of stuck, bouncing up and down inside this range. Earlier, we were looking at this area here as a balance area on a shorter term basis. And so when we broke below, failed to get continuation, and then came back up through, that triggered the move to the opposite end of balance. And then the same thing once again when we came back through at the end of last week with the push back through balance once again to the opposite end. You can see we got continuation in the overnight to perfectly test that balance area low. And then as soon as it found that support, what did it do? It turned around and started heading higher. So to me, knowing all the weakness we left behind last week, including a very large gap above, it would not be unreasonable for the market to be in a larger balance and need to head back up, repair some of that weakness, and continue to bounce around in this range. So then let me take a look at the daily. Same thing here on the daily. There's a very real potential that this is just sort of a balancing range that the market needs to trade around in before it's ready to break lower. So, okay, Charles, I hear you. I see you. I'm with you. There's a chance it's not quite as bearish as we think. There's a chance we're pushing up. Well, where are we pushing up to? Almost perfectly when we fill the gap that we left behind on Friday of last week. If we were to head back up and fill that gap, that would be a perfect place to find resistance for continuation lower from there. Just looking at the daily chart, those two line up pretty well. What would that also do for us? Literally push us right to the opposite end of balance, right? Which is going to be this node up here. So a gap fill to fill this gap back up to 37.50 is not unreasonable. Even if the market is still bearish and going to head lower, having a bounce just to fill that gap first would be perfectly reasonable. So, all right, Charles, I get it. You're not super bearish because there's a chance we're in balance. What am I supposed to do? How do I trade this? Well, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. First thing in the morning, because we are smack dab in the middle of this range where we've spent so much time and brought in so much volume, so much battle has been fought here, it will be very difficult to pick support and resistance first thing in the morning. So I am expecting that we're going to get a lot of chop here, a lot of grinding up and down. Obviously, getting above the overnight high and finding support would be a little bit bullish, but only really to test this node we left behind on Friday, where we had a lot of volume and we had the point of control. So that's going to be around 36.79. So that's where I'd expect the chop to the upside to sort of begin. We push up in there, get some resistance, have to come back down looking for support. And if we push lower, we'll be looking for support in this node right here from yesterday. And then you can also see that was sort of the breakout point for the overnight. They were grinding and grinding, trying to decide, are we going to go lower? Are we going to go higher? And then finally, when they got back above this area here, which was pretty much the closing price from Friday, they were like, okay, cool. Yeah, opposite end of balance it is, right? So this area here around 36.52 should act as support. This area up here around 36.79 should act as resistance, and we'll get some chop from there. If we break this support here, we're looking to test Friday's low. There's a lot of volume from the overnight, so that will be a good indication. So we break support here, push down, can we get to Friday's low? If not, bullish, right? But if we're able to get to Friday's low, then things get very bearish for continuation. Otherwise, chop. So it is safe to say I am coming into the morning neutral. Neutral AF. Looking for a chop zone first thing in the morning. Buyers and sellers compete. Looking for a chop zone right out the open. They don't know what to do, so two sides of trade take place. Sorry, I started with coffee a little early this morning. Oh, I also just wanted to mention quickly, if anybody's been emailing me, I've gotten a lot of emails over the last week and a half, and they've really stacked up. I haven't been able to get to them. So if you've emailed me, direct messaged me on, Twitter or Discord or whatever, and I haven't gotten back to you, I will very, very soon. A bunch of people hit me up this weekend. I just realized it this morning. So I'll get back to everyone, I promise. All right, the market is open. If you have not yet, please smash that thumbs up button. Sure would appreciate it. The banner is going away, and the chop zone is here to stay. So please smash that like. Good morning, John. Good morning, Pavel, Nap, Ryan, Scooball, Hal, Scalping Strategy, T-Wark, Philip, R.K. Leon. Jason, typically lower volume and higher volatility on Columbus Day. Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, Columbus Day. Happy Indigenous People Day, everyone. Yeah, you're right. Actually, on a day where there's less institutional type of trading, there would likely be more volatility from short term. All the more reason for chop. David Glass, good morning to you. Jay Trader in the house. Design Knob, Jack, chilling with Dylan, David, Fighter Pilot, Jeremy, Kevin, Gino. Kevin says, happy Alpha Leaf Erickson Day. I don't know that one. All right, so now we're testing this area where we closed on Friday. Can this area act as support? If so, we should be able to head back up through the halfback. Win trade, bonjour. Win trade. You just really went for it with the name. Keeping it simple. I like to win and trade. I'm win trade. Okay, so now we're testing halfback. Does this become resistance? That could be our first indication that they want to take it lower. If it's able to just pass right back through there and head back up to the open price, then we know it's just more chop. Okay, just more chop. The indecision continues. Screwball, NQ. NQ, very similar to the ES, could be in a larger balancing area, and this overnight could have potentially been a look below and fail, but that's changing very quickly here as we work our way through what should be support. Okay, so it's bearish to get below Friday's low. And this is really the last support we got. Whoops. That's really the last support we got in there. So I'd say if 11.013 breaks, you can look for continuation lower. Or if this area around halfback now, 11.078-ish, if this now becomes resistance and they can't get through it, that is also bearish for continuation lower. So looking for resistance here at Friday's low, which would be bearish. Got some low volume nodes in need of backfilling, so we should be able to test it. Good catch, Screwball. Your timing was perfect. Okay, there's the backfill of low volume nodes looking for resistance. All right, NQ getting resistance at Friday's low is bearish. ES still looks good for chop, but NQ is getting bearish. Okay, so now you're looking for resistance on the NQ at the, again, Friday's low or half back. If they push back up to half back, 11,074, 75-ish, and it acts as resistance, it holds and it smacks them back down, that is very bearish for continuation. If they're still having price discovery, if it's still just chop, they should not have sellers waiting there. Man, it feels to me like the ES is holding up the NQ right now. And if the Q starts to break lower, it'll pull the ES with it. There's a lot of buyers trying to defend this support right now. And if it breaks, boom, right back down to the next support. There it is. All right, so we're heading down to the 3640s, 3638-ish area, looking for support. Design knob, the tick that broke Pappy's back. Pappy is indestructible. Cannot be taken out. There is no tick strong enough to take out Pappy. All right, so now we're watching the ES here. Can this resistance at the halfback, 36.56, hold? If so, we expect the market to test lower. If they pass back through this and head up to the opening price, well, we just have more chop. Oh, no. All right, more indecision, more uncertainty. Looking for resistance at the opening, 36.63. Screwball NQ wants to go lower. ES does not. That is my feeling. I feel that too. The question is, can the Q, if the Q breaks the overnight low, it's taking the ES with it. There's just no doubt about it. But the decision hasn't been made yet. Michael S. says, Columbus Day observed, no U.S. news. I expect a choppy market today with no clear direction unless unexpected news hits. I would disagree. As I said, when we opened this morning, I feel like this is a pretty important moment if they, they're at a balance area low. So they're either going to, head back up towards the opposite end of balance, boop, boop, break lower, starting new excess to the downside, or yes, the last option is just grinding around and going nowhere all day. That is, of course, always an option. The market is particularly good at grinding around right at an important level like a balance area low. But there's very real potential. We could move purely because of, technical levels today. We don't need news to do it. In my humble opinion. Sometimes the market is just like in a location where it's got to do something. There's too many people waiting for something to happen. And a balance area low is one of those areas. Jeremy, thin volume can make for big moves. Yes, sir. Thin volume can make for big moves and instant changes, right? It can reverse on a dime. All right. Ask and you shall receive. The CHOP survey is out. Where do you think the market is going to go today? Are we going up? Are we going down? Or are we just going to go sideways all day long? All right, so next support for the ES around 36.40. Overnight point of control. Are there buyers waiting? This low is very weak. They're being weak here. They need another push. All right, anyone else want to take the survey? Only 55 people. Where do you think the market's going to go? Are we going to go up? Are we going to go down? Or are we just going to go sideways? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. 40%, 39% of you think we're going down. 36% of you think we're going sideways. And 24% of you think we're going up. Oh, sounds like we're going to chop. So as always, we just keep playing this game. This is, chop zones can be annoying because of how long it takes for them to pick a direction. But when they do, it will always be they first get resistance or support at that halfback. So they try to chop back up and they can't. And that resistance will be the trigger lower. NQ got it earlier. Can the ES get it? All right. Creating a poor low here in the B period increases the odds that we're going to pull that, we're going to repair that poor low, pulling the B period below the A, which will begin the initial bounce to the downside, which is bearish. And we're kind of just testing the very last support. We have the ES here. So I'm very close to turning bearish. All right, so now does this area around 36.44, previous support, become resistance? All right, new sellers at the low. I am officially bearish. As long as we stay below this large node right here, so as long as we're below 36.55, I remain bearish for continuation lower. I do expect it'll be a grind. I don't think it's going to drop like a brick because we do have a lot of support from the overnight here. But it seems like this market is not ready to head higher. And if they don't have the buyers here to take the market higher, they will need to pull them back to a lower price, looking for buyers there. I think it's safe to say resistance at Friday's low on the ES would increase the odds of a test of the overnight low. Monitoring for continuation lower from there. Nick, what is the clock app? It's not an app. It's just like a website. I don't even remember what it is. Just Google, clock. That's all I did. And so that's just like a window that's showing that website. And all it does is show a clock 24 hours a day. Maybe clock.com. Oh, that's probably a sales thing. All right, so this area acted as resistance a few moments ago. Will it hold once again? Screwball, you can say that again. All right, B period low is considered weak because it is the same as Friday's low, increasing the odds, and it's in need of repair. Repairing the weak low, we get continuation below Friday's range, which is a little bit bearish. Ooh, NQ is weak as well at the overnight low. That's really bearish. If they break that overnight low, there's just nothing. You got a little bit of old support at 10,974, and then just down she goes. I'm going to have to pull in more data for my NQ chart. Jeremy Jones saw a trader say this weekend that last week's short rally was weekly options expiring, no new buying, and dealers were forced to sell the futures this week to cover all the put buying. But right now, ES and NQ are too disagreeable. No, both of them are doing the same thing, which is they're just dancing right on the last support they have before a big break lower, which is what we always expect, right? They're always going to make it hard, right? At those pivotal levels where it's about to break one way or another. That's just a market being a market. But I do feel like it is bearish. Right? If we're slowly but surely running out of buyers, eventually we're going to completely run out, and then the market has to go lower. Charles, is there no world where you could see the market finding support here and turning around and heading right back up? Oh, yeah, I could see it. But before it's going to happen, we'll get a bunch of, signposts along the way. And we're not seeing any of those right now. Design up. Fuck around and get muted, bro. Archie, I don't know you, but I have a feeling you've come to the wrong room. I'm just guessing that you may have stumbled into the wrong live stream. Who's buying the low? It's a great question, Scooball. Don't they see? Don't they know value is overlapping to lower? Don't they know we're building up resistance below Friday's range? Why don't they understand? Design up. Perhaps the true innovators are buying the low? Sure. True in air quotes. Rockingham, to be honest, it's not the worst place to buy as you can manage risk down here and a major low. Sure, like as kind of like a longer term swing type of trade. The only problem is the odds of getting stopped out. You know what I mean? The momentum is lower. Um, so where's your stop? Is your stop below the overnight low? We could very easily test that. Another way to describe that is like for me, let's say I'm trying to go long to get up and like fill the gap that we left behind on Friday. So say I think we're heading like all the way up to here. Rather than trying to guess right here, I'd rather wait for a break by support, somewhere where I have more information, like we're able to get through this resistance above, and then we turn it into support. I can buy it there with just as tight a stop as I would be able to buy it here, just with a much higher probability that the move will work. So just the way I trade, I pretend to do it more like that, but I do see your point. Very, very little risk for large potential reward. It's a matter of time frame. Joe Rogan just talked about the AMC stock squeeze. Yep, then it's a great time to be a seller. Listen, if you want to trade crazy bubbles, go for it, man. Do your thing. What we're much more focused on in this room is consistently making profits every day. Having a strategy that works without Joe Rogan saying a word. It's just bread and butter, same thing every day. Follow the patterns, make your money. No get rich quick. No to the moon. Just buy support, sell resistance, be right more than wrong, make larger profits than your losses. Do it again the next day. Sid, I'm in a trade right now. Nick, if you want to trade crazy bubbles, go ahead, man, says the guy with bubbles on his screen. Well done. Screwball, they convinced a lot of people it was the low. Well, time is not on their side. The more time we spend down here, the more volume we bring in, the fewer and fewer of those buyers that will trust that low. Mateus, NQ held overnight low like a champ. No, if it's weak, that is not like a champ, right? That's what the fact that it's weak tells us, that it's fooling us. It's tricking participants into thinking it made a good low, but really we know who those participants are. They're weak hands. So as soon as they get a chance, they're going to take profits. Something just happened. The bot's all turned off. Is there news coming out at 10:30? That's really weird. Ah, it was a spoof. That's what it was. So they had built all this volume up here to pull the price up to it. And as soon as it got there, they disappeared that volume and all this too. So now the question is, do they flip the order book? Can they turn this that was supposed to act as resistance, but they spoofed it? Can they turn it into support? If not, all these buyers are fixing to get squeezed. All right. Well, with that, I must say goodbye. I still feel very strongly that the market wants to test the lows again. ES certainly wants to test the week low at 36.32. And when it breaks that low, it will begin one time framing lower, which will be bearish. So I think it would be safe at that point, once you break that low, to look for resistance at the overnight low to get yourself down to, the resistance at Friday's low to get you down to the overnight low. And that seems like a very reasonable target to the downside. Monitoring for continuation lower from there. As far as the upside, if we get back above 36.55, then we're back in chop. And, either way, it can just grind and grind until it picks a direction. So same thing as I was discussing earlier this morning. You look for resistance at the opening price. You look for resistance at 36.70. You look for resistance at 36.78. You look for resistance at 36.86. And it can just chop between those levels all afternoon. I think it would be safe to say if you can push through this resistance up here, push through, say, 85, 86, come back down and find support, that would be viable as a trade to an opposite end of balance. But you would need to wait until that retest happens, as this resistance could easily just cause the market to go sideways. But I remain bearish below 55. And with that, I say farewell and good luck. We'll see you all here tomorrow morning. If you're not a member of the brigade, there's a link in the description. It only costs $10. That's literally less than one tick on the ES. So if you think in an entire month of having the option to listen to me all day if you want, could I give you a single idea that might either make you make one tick of profit or stop you from losing one tick of profit? If so, you might consider joining the brigade. All right, thank you very much, and we will see you here tomorrow morning. Have a good rest of your day.